Welcome to Firm Journals. Mark Merrill here as always. This time, folks, we're talking about lies, feelings, and emotions. The latest in Maine politics, including the U.S. Senate race between Graham Plattner, Susan Collins, and possibly, oh my gosh, yep, brace yourselves, the resurgence of Governor Janet Mills, darn it. Plus, we have various inserts, video and audio parts, on topics of interest to Maine citizens like yourselves and me, the United States overall in general, and much more. Let's get started. First, let's go with a history lesson on Mr. Plattner, okay? Well, remember this attack on the dignity and honorable service that current U.S. Senator Susan Collins had to bear and hear for Mr. Plattner in January of 2026? Remember this?
We also have to remember the reason she's doing this is because she and the Republican Party have refused to strip DHS funding out of the larger funding. They could have put it separate. Therefore, the argument over it would not drive us towards a government shutdown. If we go into a government shutdown, it's not because Democrats got us there. It's because Republicans would rather close the government than not give more money to an agency that in the past few weeks has murdered American citizens in cold blood. One of those victims was Alex Craig, killed last Saturday, executed in the street by masked federal agents, and then the administration has the gall to say that the reason he died was because he was carrying a lethal firearm. As someone who still occasionally carries a lethal firearm, because I use my constitutional rights as an American in the payment, it is beyond disgusting to watch this administration use that as justification for the murder of an American hero. What is important to remember is once we have won, once we get ICE out of Maine, once we defund and dismantle that agency, do not let people in power tell you that they gave it to you. It was because of you that that's going to happen.
Really? I don't think so, Mr. Plattner. You don't just defund something just because you demand it. Okay? We're just getting started, folks. Thanks for joining us here on Firm Journals. Lies, feelings, and emotions. It's got nothing to do with anything under the law of the Constitution. So as we continue, folks, there's that history lesson from back in cold January 29th up there at the Federal Building in Bangor on Harlow Street, where one of Senator Collins' state offices is located. Now, to present day, the first week of June 2026, just a few days after the denial of the campaign season by Mr. Plattner and his wife, Amy Gertner. You ready for this one? It's her turn now. But it's going to be a short segment, but it's followed by WVOM Morning News host Rick Tyler.
Dealing with the admission of his own wife to the Plattner campaign that he was using the social media platform Kix, K-I-K, Kik, to sext. For those that don't know, that is to send sexual messages to at least 6 women. According to other news accounts, up to 12 women. All of this about a year ago, last spring. Yes, while he was and still is married to Amy Gertner.
Number 4.
Stories are true, right? Not the texts.
No, this is the amazing part. The Wall Street Journal and New York Times ran stories without any evidence besides the gossip from a former staffer. I'm sorry, that's frankly journalistic malpractice. We pushed back on it. They did it anyways. So.
Do you have a question? So are you confirming that the messages did not exist?
What's that?
The messages, they did not.
I'm confirming that what Genevieve McDonald said in the New York Times is not true.
So you never met with her about uncomfortable, for lack of a better word, sexting messages as the campaign was going?
We talked about things in Amy and I's marriage that we've gone through over the years. We talked about that because that's our marriage, and we discussed it with the campaign. What Genevieve McDonald claims isn't true.
All right.
Uh-huh. Right. I know, folks, it's kind of hard to get through, but we will continue. So, Maine citizens, and of course, all the Democratic pundits and provocateurs of the fine art of lies, deceit, and propaganda news at the same time, dang it! Plattner's wife, Amy Gertner, showed that it was not her greatest, but attempted acting like a supportive spouse came up and moved on from there. With another edition from WVOM host Rick Tyler and his associate Paul Wolf.
I just really wanted to make sure that everyone knows that Graham and I have a great marriage. Being married is hard. Being newly married is hard. Being newly married and going through infertility is hard. Being newly married, going through infertility, and a Senate campaign is hard.
Graham Plattner's wife, what one person sent to us and described as a hostage video. That was not lost on us. Graham Plattner's wife, Amy Gertner, walking along a road, swatting away black flies, in what many, including Plattner's supporters, say it's an organic video. Now, I'm calling shenanigans on that. It's a very prepared statement. And there are two things that Amy Gertner says in that 15-minute and 48-second video that proves it. Hang on. So while many people spent the weekend mowing the lawn, grilling burgers, chasing grandkids, and trying to avoid politics, if you open social media and you are paying attention to anything, you saw this. But again, I say there are three stories here. The first is about a marriage, the second is about a campaign, and now the third one involves you, voters. It's about trust. Start at the beginning. Best way to tell a story, best way to explain anything is chronologically. Last summer, Graham Plattner launched what many people thought was a long-shot campaign for the U.S. Senate. Most Mainers had never heard of him. Fast forward to today. Governor Janet Mills is out of the race. I'm calling a sidebar right now. Did you see some of the photos online this weekend, Paul Wolf? Fresh Janet Mills for U.S. Senate campaign signs popping up in Maine. Okay? First of many sidebars, I'm sure. Janet Mills out of the race. National Democrats lining up behind Plattner. He has raised millions of dollars. He's positioned himself as the man the Democrats hope can defeat Susan Collins. Before we get to the latest, consider this. Do we need to remind you of this? Plattner is already under the microscope for a Nazi-linked tattoo, for Reddit posts involving slurs and crude language, comments about women, rape, military sexual assault, painting rural white Americans as racist and stupid and self-pleasuring himself in a porta potty, for comments mocking a wounded veteran, angering veterans that they saw as disrespectful, ticking off Red Sox ownership, using Fenway-related imagery and language the franchise did not appreciate. Spot had to be taken down. And each time, Plattner has said the same thing. I'm not the man I used to be. Please see me for the whole man, not the worst post, not the worst comment, not the worst moment. And now comes what many are calling the worst of the worst moments. The Wall Street Journal and the New York Times reporting that Plattner's wife had warned the campaign, had warned Plattner's campaign officials. Amy told the campaign, hey, I discovered sexually explicit communications between my husband and multiple other women during their marriage. And the account is, she discovered these messages taking place last spring. Depending on which account you read, 6 women, maybe 12 women. By the way, the Main Wire learned that the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times were digging into this, and Steve Robinson alerted us to this on May 1st. And if you were sharp-eared on our program, if you were really sharp-eared, you heard us allude to it. Now, Plattner's campaign says it reviewed the situation and decided it was a private marital matter. And you know what? It may be. Because marriages are complicated. People make mistakes. People hurt each other. People seek counseling. Some people forgive. Plattner's wife, Amy, herself picked up the cell phone and recorded in 20 takes, she says. A video that many of you might have seen over the weekend, posted for everyone to see, everyone to hear, defending her husband and saying their marriage is stronger than ever. The story could have ended there. But it doesn't, because as we told you, this is not just about marriage. This is not just about a man messing up. This is a story about blackmail. And as much as Plattner supporters who fired up their laptops over the weekend with synchronized statements, if we have time, I want to come back to this. As much as Plattner's supporters with synchronized statements got on the keyboards and tried to make you think this is just about marriage and leave this couple alone as they go through a tough time, it's more than that, because former state representative and former Plattner campaign official Genevieve McDonald was one of the people that Amy reportedly, I gotta use the air quotes, confided in. Confided. That's the campaign's word. Amy confided in Genevieve that Graham was sexting 6 to 12 women last spring. But wait, it's not what the New York Times said. It's not what the Wall Street Journal said. That's not what CBS News had confirmed. Amy disclosed to them. But now we recall Genevieve McDonald, October 17th of last year, October 17th, Genevieve McDonald leaves her role as political director for Graham Plattner's U.S. Senate campaign. And then over the weekend, Genevieve posts this. One of 2 things she posted over the weekend, which we found interesting. Gotta read the first one, word for word. Quote, "There are some details missing from this story. I hope it will be updated." The WSJ, the Wall Street Journal, the Wall Street Journal called me Friday morning to tell me they were running a story they had verified through multiple sources. Sidebar. When did we learn from Steve Robinson of the Main Wire that the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times had already had this and they were working on it? May 1st. May 1st. Friday was May 29th. And then Genevieve writes on. I had spoken with them, the Wall Street Journal, months ago off the record, so it was a courtesy call. I'd probably still get some blowback. Kudos to the Wall Street Journal. After WSJ, the Wall Street Journal, reached out to the Plattner campaign for comment, this is Genevieve McDonald writing. She posts, Morris Katz, K-A-T-Z. Morris Katz demanded that I call the Wall Street Journal, retract my comments, telling them their reporting was inaccurate, and send him a recording of the call. Sidebar. Morris Katz, who's working for the Plattner campaign, who is the person hiring the influencers, many of the very people you saw firing up the keyboards and posting yesterday to try to circle the wagons around Graham and Amy and save the campaign. According to Genevieve McDonald, he threatened her. Retract your comments. Tell them their reporting is inaccurate. Tell them they're wrong. And send me a recording of the call. What did Genevieve do? This is what she posts. When I refused to lie for the Plattner campaign. Can we say that again? This is Genevieve McDonald, the former political director for Graham Plattner's campaign. When I refused to lie for the Plattner campaign, he sent this text, quote, just want to be clear on where we are right now. If the story goes in its current iteration, we'll communicate directly on the record and by name that Genevieve violated the personal trust of Amy and Graham and shared explicit falsehoods to sabotage the campaign.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave, huh, ladies and gentlemen? Doesn't sound very good for Plattner's ongoing campaign to reach the June 9th primaries, does it? So there it is, folks, the Graham Plattner campaign being dissected by one of their own staffers, Morris Katz, possibly now former Plattner campaign director, huh? Well, it's par for the course as far as the deflectocrats and us here at Firm are concerned, ladies and gentlemen, and that's pretty much why we follow up on things like this. Yes, we do have the Maine Wire and the Maine Policy Institute and a few other dignified and truth reporting journalists out there, but not many. No thanks to Ding Dong here, trying to pay off the networks and, of course, the newspapers. I'll tell you what, Janet Mills couldn't even come close to paying off the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and the Washington Post for this mess and debacle and web of deceit and lies and the whole bit, which is why we called it that. Lies, emotions, and feelings. In the meantime, folks, always contact us here on Firm, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can also find our podcasts, including this one, which will be posted shortly, on X, YouTube, and our website, substack.com. As always, everybody stay safe. Vote honestly and do your research, folks. Peace to all.